Hi ladies and gents, Pond here with another video for Rise of Empires, Ice and Fire. Thank you so much for your previous likes, comments and subscriptions to the channel. If you haven't subscribed already, why not click on that button and ring the bell so you can get notifications of whenever I'm dropping content on the channel. And now onto the topic of this video, and we have had a new SX hero drop in the game mid-season. It is Arthur. So when you click on the icon for the usual recruitment on a Thursday, it's popped up with this new hero icon. So let's go recruit, and immediately we see that Arthur is actually on an exclusive royal recruitment banner. Now the main thing to highlight about this is that he is going to need royal recruitment tickets. The only way you can get them is to purchase them, guys. So this means at the moment Arthur is a pay to play hero only. And this is obviously the first hero where the devs have made it like this. There have obviously always been advantages for paying, but free-to-play players have always had the option to at least try and recruit a hero. So today it is a change in shift in the kind of attitude from the devs, the way that they're releasing heroes mid-season as well. It's going to be interesting to see how this trend goes, whether it continues going forward. I mean, it does just have exclusive royal recruitment and then in brackets King Arthur. It makes me think that there will be other heroes in this kind of released in this kind of way. Now if you are looking to purchase him, you can see up here on the main castle screen there is an icon here, and you can get your first copy of King Arthur for £100 on Android and $89.99 here in the UK on iOS. So it's basically around $100 to get this first copy of him with 200 fragments, and then you'll get an extra 10 royal recruitment tickets to try and recruit him. If you have a look on this banner though as well, it's showing no luck meter, which makes me a little bit concerned. I have been seeing today that some people have spent $400-500 to get him. Other people are saying $600-700 to max him. So a few of the kind of top spenders in the game have been already maxing him today. When you look on the info here, it's just him available as like an extra hero. Otherwise it's these normal 8 orange heroes. And up in the info section there is no specific chance percentage information relating to King Arthur. So yeah, you might get lucky. You could be ending up spending a lot of money to recruit this hero, and as I said, he's not going to be available at the moment for free-to-play players. Let's have a look at what he can do, guys. Straight away we see that he's a melee hero, so that means almost certainly he's going to be front row. Footman hero as well, so interestingly probably go, well, how much damage can he do as a footman hero? We're about to find out. Skill 1, as usual, 23,100 marching capacity for hero squad, nothing new there. And then skill 2, it's a status skill, so that's a good start. Effective all the time during battles. Effective range of 0, so it just relates to his own squad, and it is going to target just that one friendly squad, his own squad. The damage the hero takes is minus 80% at the start of the battle, so that is a big buff for your squad. It means that obviously you're going to be losing less troops in those early stages of the battle. Really key there. And each time the hero takes damage, the damage mitigation effect will be reduced by 8%. So basically, once you've taken 10 lots of damage, then this damage mitigation will be at 0 and it will be no longer effective in the battle. When's that going to happen? Well, generally on the front row you're going to be taking 3 to 5 amounts of damage per round, because you're getting the 3 basic attacks from each of your opponent's squads, plus usually 1 or 2 skill attacks as well in terms of damage. So you could probably see this mitigation being removed by most likely turn 3 at the latest. But then there are additional elements to this skill, and with each time the hero takes damage, resistance is increased for your squad by 20%, and damage dealt increases by 10%. This is stackable up to 16 layers. That is the largest stackable abilities in the game so far. You're talking about if you're hit 16 times, that's going to be 320% increased resistance and 160% increased damage. That is huge when you consider, for instance, like Immortal. The Immortal only has an additional 80% increased damage. So this is huge figures here, and it means that not only is he going to be very tanky towards the end of the battle, but also he's going to be doing potentially huge amounts of damage, even just from his troops' basic attacks. 16 to stack this 16 layers. Well, as I already said, you're looking at probably taking 4 or 5 elements of damage each round on the front row. So this could be maxed by turn 4 easily. So that's from turns 5 on to 8, you could be doing a lot of damage with this hero. Skills 3 and 4, defensive formation, extra 50% resistance, and skill 4, offensive formation, extra 50% might for your hero squad. That's normal for an SX hero. Skill 5, sword in the stone. So of course it's all about King Arthur and the round table and that kind of story, and the sword in the stone with this hero. Quite cool, like iconography there. The devs have done with this hero as well. I do like that. Type of skill, passive skill. So it's going to potentially trigger after every basic attack. So that means that this skill is going to be susceptible to being disarmed and also suppressed. So if you're up against an opponent that does have, for instance, Brave in it, who would disarm you, that could potentially be an issue. Ashen Verdict disarms, so does who else disarms? So does like Army Skybreaker, but you wouldn't be using Skybreaker. So yeah, it's more like heroes that are going to suppress potentially. But let's have a look at the skill. So Arthur wields the Sacred Sword and has 50% chance to deal 700% damage to one random enemy squad. 50% chance, so you're looking at this probably activating 3 to 5 times in a battle. It's not super high, but it's pretty good. And dealing 700%, that is a high level of damage when you think there's very few heroes in the game that have skills that deal more than 700% damage. If you think, well, Jade Eagle's 8th skill, for instance, does, and Rainforest Ranger's 8th skill, when it targets specific squad, it does 810% damage. So this is a significant damage dealer, this skill. It's just going to target the one random enemy squad and within the valid range of 3. So again, if you want it to target all of your opponent's squads, you do need to have King Arthur on the front row. Then there is additional elements to this as well. It will, the target that the squad that it does target is going to then make the combat skill damage dealt by that squad minus 25% for 2 rounds, and the effect can be stacked. So you could potentially see minus 50% debuff on the damage done by your opponents, but of course it's only linked to combat skill damage, so that's a limiting factor there. Skill 6, it's giving extra damage again, so this is just an indicator that King Arthur is potentially supposed to be a tanky hero that does do damage on that front row for footmen. And then 7th skill is additional might, 40% additional might, 40% additional resistance, which again is just adding on top of all that extra resistance that you're getting from that 2nd skill. And then skill 8, Blessings of the King. It's another status skill, so he in theory should be a very consistent hero in terms of his abilities, because you've got these 2 status skills. Arthur receives blessings with his healing effect boosted by 12% permanently. So if you've got healers that are going to heal him in the squad, then this actually, his 8th skill, increases the healing that they do for Arthur. And then when an enemy squad casts a combat skill, the effect will be boosted by 1.5% more, stackable up to 12 layers. So 12 times 1.5 is 18%. Add that to the 12%, so you've got 30% potentially extra healing for his squad because of this 8th ability. And then starting from round 5, the Sword in the Stone will be cast on the mid and back row enemy for 1 time. So basically, if the Sword in the Stone is triggered on turns 5, 6, 7 or 8, this gives it an extra attack. It doubles the amount of attacks that the Sword in the Stone does, and bearing in mind that that is a 700% damage, that is a significant amount of extra damage. Thinking about location for King Arthur, he's got to be front row. This 2nd skill requires him to be taking lots of damage, so he's got to be on the front row so that you get this stackable stackable resistance and damage. Also, if you notice, this is influenced by resistance, this 2nd skill, similar to Farah and Aslan's skills. So when the hero squad outruns the enemy squad in resistance, i.e. has more resistance, the skill effects will be improved. But when the hero squad is inferior, has less resistance, the skill effects will be decreased. I am trying to find out from the devs if there are actually specific values that relate to the level of increase and decrease that this influence has. And I'm waiting to hear back from them, but once I do, hopefully I will be able to give that information to you guys if the devs give it to me. In terms of heroes that he can work with, well, obviously in the release that the devs have done, they've said that, bearing in mind this hero is available to nearly everyone in the game, as early as S4, you can put King Arthur alongside Isabella and Bleeding Steed. Both of those, Isabella and Bleeding Steed, are going to heal Arthur potentially, and which is obviously going to link with his 8th skill later in the game. For those of us in SX4 and beyond, you're going to potentially look at linking King Arthur with Healer, Scander, still Steed as well on the back row. I've seen people running, for instance, today as well, with King Arthur in a mixed legion with Hellfire on the middle row, and then with Steed or Healer on the back row. So you've got lots of healing going on. Obviously Hellfire does a healing with his 5th skill as well, and then having the cavalry in the legion, obviously in the legion, is going to improve its attacking abilities as well. So those are the kind of heroes that we're currently looking at. Even though he does have this 5th skill, which is a passive skill, it's difficult to see how you would link King Arthur with a kind of basic attack hero, because he's not going to, you need him on the front row, so you couldn't link him with Warden. You might be able to put him with Rosen. Rosen does give obviously extra basic attacks on the first 3 turns. It's going to be interesting to see in the future if Arthur, if there is a hero that comes out that is more kind of tailored to doing additional basic attacks across the whole of the battle. If that's the case, then potentially that hero would work really well with King Arthur, because if he is doing additional attacks from this passive skill, which is then triggering extra attacks in the second half of the battle of Sword in the Stone from the 8th skill, you could be doing a huge amount of damage when it's paired with that additional damage buff you're getting from skill 2. For me, Arthur is looking like he's probably a 4 out of 5 hero. He's not very flexible. He's got to be on that front row. He has to most likely be used with healers, and I can see the potential that if his 5th skill does not activate, then you're going to really kind of prohibit his ability to do damage. Now, luckily, I am in Wargasm's account today, and we do have some battle reports that she was up against an opponent who had King Arthur from earlier. So let's get straight into this and have a look at a battle report of King Arthur in action. So pre-battle, round 0, we're going to see the status skills activating. For him, that means Wheel of Fortune is activating for this pre-battle reduction in damage. And so you can see at the start of the battle, even though it's cavalry up against footmen, they're only doing a couple of thousand damage to his front row. You're also going to see his 8th skill activating quite a few times, usually on most turns. And the reason for that is because it's activated, it's triggering this stackable healing effect whenever the opponent is doing a combat skill, as it says. And if we just keep an eye as well, as we watch this video, so there you go, Blessing of the King again, the opponent has done 1 combat skill in this turn. You're going to see that the healing boost increases. So there you go, 1628, which is the healing ability from Bleeding Steed's healing skill. And you're going to see across the battle from right now up to turn 8 that healing skill increases from around 1600 all the way up to 1800. We're also going to see his Sword in the Stone skill this turn, as it triggered on, you saw the icon triggering. And remember, every time he takes damage, it's increasing. So there we go, 12,000 damage from Sword in the Stone against cavalry, don't forget as well. This is footmen attacking cavalry. That is a very, very good attack this early in the battle, and it's going to just increase as the amount of damage that he's taking increases as well. Another 2 Blessings of the King there, his 8th skill, so you can see the healing's up to 1692. And now it's 1713, so that is just that healing stacking from his 8th skill all the time through the battle. Now we're obviously into turn 5, and you can see that Sword in the Stone is triggered on this turn. And so, of course, because we're in turn 5, you're going to see Sword in the Stone actually action twice. So that's the basic attack. Now he's actually used Confusion there, and then that was the second element of the attack. So big confusion was caused by Ragnar's 8th skill, and that's why he attacked the middle row. But then you saw that additional basic attack, and he attacked the back row of the opponent, and this time it was doing 17,000 kills for Avalanche's squad in the opponent. And that's because you're seeing this stacked 16 times stackable damage buff from his second skill. And this is basically everything that you're going to see from King Arthur. So I'm going to just speed up the battle video now until we get to the end, and you will just see more blessings of the king, and you will just see that he's healing now. Has increased, there we go, to 1840, and then there's one last sword in the stone there that did another 2 basic attacks, and it was doing 17,000 kills for both times. And bearing it, like I say, footmen against cavalry, and a skill that can do 34,000 kills, that is significant. So that's the first battle report of King Arthur in action. I have to say, from the other reports that I've seen, how are you going to counter Arthur? Well, I think pretty much if you're, I've seen Lorman with Warhammer and Ava has been an effective combination. Warhammer obviously has the ability to reduce healing, so if you are putting, so that's going to negate King Arthur's 8th skill. So I'm sure any kind of combinations with Warhammer in are going to work well. Potentially maybe even like Brave Warhammer Ava could, because Brave can potentially be disarming King Arthur early on in the battle as well. There are going to be quite a few. Yeah, basically those are kind of the kind of key options I'm looking at the moment for him. And I think in the right circumstances where you get the luck with that 5th skill activating, he will do significant amounts of damage. But if that 5th skill doesn't activate, particularly in the second half of the battle, because it's only 50% chance, then you're not going to get significant kills from him. And I don't think he's going to be, actually in terms of his kills, it won't be that consistent because of that 5th skill. So yeah, I think he's a 3, probably a 4 out of 5 hero. It's interesting the devs have done this. I'd be, of course, interested to hear your thoughts based on, they're releasing a hero almost across the whole game at the same time, and also the fact that he's just exclusively for pay-to-play players this time. What do you think about that? And of course, if you could please, if you have enjoyed this video, please do click on that like, and if you could share this video and my channel in your alliance chat, province chat, map chats, and through line WhatsApp, Viber, Discord, whatever you use to communicate with your fellow players in the game, that would be very much appreciated. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.